You know, when Ryan Poling scored 3 goals in his first NHL game for Montreal a couple of years ago, and before that, Austin Matthews getting 4 in his first NHL contest, thoughts went back to players in the past that had a great first game in the NHL. Now, the guy that holds the modern points record, 5 points in a contest, is someone that was the pride of Nanaimo, BC, and he had a very strange career. He was out in the NHL for a couple of years and found his way back, and the road to NHL was through Moncton, of all places. So today we're going to be talking about the great Al Hill. Now, Alan Douglas Hill, born April 22nd in Nanaimo, BC, played 8 seasons in the NHL for the Flyers. On February 14, 1977, Hill made his NHL debut for the Broad Street Bullies and scored 2 goals and 3 assists in a 6-4 victory against the Blues. Hill set the NHL record for most points in the debut, including scoring twice in the first period at 36 seconds and 11:33 against goalie Yves Belanger. So his first game scored 36 seconds in. Now, that team was quite strong, part of the Bobby Clarke era. 6'1", 175, of course, played center. Now, he remained undrafted. Now, he started his NHL career again with the Flyers, but retired after a prestigious minor league career, which wrapped up after the '89 AHL season. Now, since retiring, Hill has worked for the Flyers as a scout. Now, he first came to major prominence with the Nanaimo Clippers of the BCHL, where he had 70 points in 64 games in 1974. He played with the Western Hockey League's Victoria Cougars for 2 seasons in 75 and 76, putting in 123 points in the regular season and 22 points in 27 playoff contests. Now, 77, he played the majority of the year that season with Springfield with 41 points in 63 games. But he had 6 points in 9 games with the Flyers that year with 27 minutes and penalties. Now, 78, because of the Flyers' stacked roster, he played most of the season for the great Maine Mariners of the AHL. 91 points in 80 games. Now, even though he played 80 games in Maine and 12 in the playoffs, he did find time to play 3 games with the Flyers that year. 79, he had 25 points in 35 AHL games with Maine, 11 goals. Back with the Flyers with 16 points in 31 games, including 5 goals and 1 goal in 7 contests. Now, in the Flyers' great final appearance run in 1980, he had 26 points in 61 games. Some injuries that year with 8 points in 19 playoff contests, of course, when the Flyers lost to the Islanders, and he was part of that big undefeated string. 81, again, limited action, 25 points in 57 games, 10 goals, with 6 points in 12 playoff contests. 82, again, injuries got to him again. He only played 41 games with 19 points and 6 goals, and 0 points in 3 playoff games. Now, 83, he found himself with the Moncton Alpines, very popular in Moncton, with 44 points in 78 games, including 22 goals. 84, back in the AHL with the Maine Mariners, 21 points in 51 games, and 18 points in 17 playoff contests. 85 with Hershey, 41 points, 73 games. 86 with Hershey, 57 points in 80 games. And 87, a very bizarre year, 48 points in 76 games, but in an ironic twist of fate, found himself back in the NHL after 5 years in the minors with 2 points in 7 playoff games, 7 regular season games, and 2 goals in 9 playoff games. 88, he played 12 games with the big club with 1 goal in those contests and 1 playoff game where he had playoff assists. 88, he played with Hershey in the regular season and playoffs with 11 goals and 38 points in 67 games. 89, his last season, again, still with Hershey, 33 points in 62 games and 2 goals in the playoffs. AHL totals, 435 big points, 149 goals. He was a stalwart again for many of the AHL's best teams of that decade, 45 points in 70 playoff contests. NHL totals, 95 points in 221 games, 40 goals, 19 points in the playoffs, 8 goals. And of course in the WCHL, a big 123 points, 47 goals. So, ladies and gentlemen, in Major Junior, NHL and AHL, well over 900 games, great totals, and almost 250 regular season goals. Now, in the playoffs with the 3 leagues, he had 31 goals in 148 games. So, very, very strong numbers. Now, some people get confused about Al Hill, and I tell you why. when Tim Kerr was around the same era, they would get them confused because Tim Kerr and Al Hill, same amount of letters. So there was one very famous game where Tim Kerr, who was going on a big scoring streak, I think he scored like a hat trick in a period and a half, and someone said, "Oh, Al Hill's back to scoring," and the other guy corrected him. I think it was Dave Hodge, saying, "No, our apologies. It wasn't Tim Kerr. It was Al Hill, because Al Hill was a very, very strong BC style player. You know, the BC players are more than forward tough, as we say." So, ladies and gentlemen, we had 2 requests for Al Hill. We appreciate the followers doing that. If you have any future requests, let us know, and anything within reason we can do. Al Hill was undrafted just like Tim Kerr. We're going to be talking about Tim Kerr later on, because there's movements afoot to get him in the NHL Hall of Fame as one of the most underrated power forwards of the era, 1980s, because injuries really cut into his career. We're going to talk about that. So again, Al Hill, Ryan Poling, Austin Matthews, players like that, you know, start of a good career. And Al Hill was tough. AHL, you know, he played in all those small rinks, and he showed talent in every way. He was a leader where he didn't what he call make himself known. He just like a strong, solid player, BC tough, forward tough as we call it. And you know, when I used to watch him, the comparison for me was kind of like Dougie Risebrough or Brian Savage, maybe Benoit Brunet, good on defense as well, and played the occasional power play. I know that for sure on the second line. Thanks for listening. Bye.